watching Good Evening Sandy.
For student loan payments resume today after being on a 5-year pause. Here to share how this impacts borrowers and the economy is Brent Wilsey, President and CEO of Wilsey Assets Management. Brent, always a pleasure having you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Of course, what a hot topic, because for many of those borrowers, the student borrowers and parent borrowers, when they log on to the government website, which is the federal student loan, Nelnet, it says you're past due, known as delinquent. Now, this is one of many debts that can't be forgiven. So people need to get back on track, including myself. So let's talk about how many people have borrowed and how much is owed.
Well, the numbers are pretty staggering. When I looked at it, there's about 43 million people that owe $1.6 trillion to the government. And what's amazing is over 10%, about 5 million of those people, are delinquent and haven't made a payment. And anywhere from 1 year, some people haven't paid in 7 years. And they still owe. And it's kind of amazing. And if we kept on this track, 25% of the loans would have been in default. That's just crazy. If you were a bank, you'd go bankrupt. So I'm glad this program is coming out. We need to collect this money. The government is not some thing that just can keep paying out all this money. We have $36 trillion in debt. We got to collect some of these debts.
Well, the government also allowed these deferrals. I had deferred my loan for 5 years prior to that pause in 2020. So if you think about it, I was deferred for 10 years. That it was so hard to even come back from, and the interest was accruing during that 5-year deferral, but it's paused during that pause during 2020 through 2025.
Right, and that was with a pandemic. I mean, it was a very hard time. I hate even thinking about what went through COVID, but they extended it, let it keep going on, and now the time is over. We're in a great situation. Our economy is doing better than ever. We have a $29.6 trillion economy. That's a big thing. So we're not in a difficult situation, but it's called the Federal Student Aid, which is under the U.S. Department of Education. They're going to begin collecting money again, and they're going to do an extensive program. They're going to send out emails. They're going to do regular mail, even social media. They're going to find you. And again, they're going to collect you. They got to collect that money. And they're going to try to make it easy for you. They have an income-derived repayment program. And before it's kind of complicated, they've made that easier. You don't have to apply every year. They're going to do that to try and make it easy to help you pay. And then the 30-day collections, they're going to start in about 30 days. So you've got to get on top, because if you don't, they can hit your wages. That tax refund you thought you were going to get, that's gone. Federal benefits, gone. And all you have to do, and you went to that website, the studentaid.gov, be proactive, because just if you don't do it, you think, well, they're not finding me. You still owe the money.
Yeah, and I'm using my experience to help our viewers, but you made a really good point about the IDR, which is income-driven repayment. So we don't want to instill fear in the borrowers. We can help them get back on track. Simple as $30 a month you could be paying. So a lot of people think it's going to be like $500 a month. Depends on your income as well. But you did make a really good point, because you can't run from this.
No.
When I got the email several months ago, they knew that I worked for Nexstar company. They knew my address. They know everything about you. So you can't run from this debt.
You can't run from it. And when I was younger, if you owed money, you couldn't pay it, you get a second job. You do something to increase your pay to pay this debt. And if you just pay the normal payments, it's going to take you about 17 years. But you borrowed this money, and hopefully you got the benefit from the education. You did something with it. So therefore, you owe it. You need to pay it back. And it's just something that, to me, is common sense. And I feel bad for some people who have financial difficulties. But there are now 7.2 million jobs open for people. So it's not that we have a bad economy. You got a great economy. You might have to go out, work, maybe take a second job to pay it.
Yeah, many borrowers were in limbo for so long, because for so many years after graduating, you were able to defer. Then that pause, as we mentioned, started during the pandemic and then just lifted as of today. But you being a financial expert, how does the debt impact you if you want to, per se, buy a home or just have good credit? Does that school loan debt really affect you?
Oh, it definitely will. It's going to hurt your credit score. And if you're not paying it, you're behind, you're in default, it's going to hurt your credit score. And they're going to report to the agency. So you have to pay this just like any other loan. If you don't pay it, oh, it's not fair, I can't get a house, you have a low credit score. No, you need to pay your loans. I mean, that's why they're going to lend to you,
Yeah.
for a house. So it's just common sense. And the other one I hate too is saying it's going to hurt the economy. That is just not true. I mean, it's just, when you look at that, we talked about how big the economy is at $29.6 trillion of GDP. When I looked at the numbers, and go back to 2019, they were collecting $70 million a year, or $70 billion a year in student loans. Well, now if they do that now, and they collect that $70 billion, it's only 0.25% of that GDP. And if you increase that just to 0.3%, well, now you're talking about $87 billion. It is not going to hurt the economy. You're going to hear people, oh, this is going to devastate the economy. No, our economy is too big. This is not going to hurt the economy. Some people, it is going to hurt them. But overall, not going to hurt the overall economy.
Bottom line, pay that debt,
Pay
right?
that debt, yes. You sign a contract, pay it.
Yeah. And before we go, I've always wanted to ask a financial advisor, for example, say someone wants to file bankruptcy because they want to get rid of their debts. Is student loans included in one of the debts that you can erase?
You know, I don't believe so, but I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. You have to ask a bankruptcy attorney that. I would believe it's not, because usually we leave your credit card, some other ones, but
Yeah, that's what I heard. I just wanted to make sure, because I know it's child support, alimony, and I think it's student loans. Those are the debts that you can't get rid of. They'll always stay with you.
They'll always stay with you, yeah.
Wow, what a great discussion.
I love talking to you. Yeah, I love talking to you.
Wonderful. Yeah, we want everyone to get back on track. And if you are a student borrower or a parent borrower, just check out the website, Student Aid, and the NELNet, and then you'll find out how you can actually get back on track to pay those payments. But we don't want anyone to get overwhelmed. They don't have to pay these big payments. You could just start as, I was just checking earlier today, with, I think minimum was like $20.
Yeah, just pay something and make it reasonable so it doesn't go on for many years.
Yeah.
But if you don't find them, they will probably find you. And then you're going to own interest and penalties and maybe wage garnishment. So don't play that game, because the government, they want their money. They loaned you money, pay it back.
That's right. All right, Brent, thanks so much for your time.
Welcome.
All right, Logan.
Well, quick question, Brent, can you fake your own death and then assume a new identity fresh?
You know,
No?
you probably can, Logan, but I think there's other problems with that.
Of course, Logan will ask that.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much. Asking for a friend.